it's time to play Kamikaze Mythical Matchup.
Yeah.
There you go, golf clap, brother. So we've got a couple of suggestions from our good friends on Facebook, right, that are tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Switchboard is all lit up. And also I thought of a couple as well. So I'm going to have you pick, right, choose from 5 different mythical matchups, right? Very first one, and this is from our very good friend Denise Wards, right? Thank you, Denise, for tuning in. She said, how about Marvin Hagler versus Gennady Golovkin at 160?
Ooh,
wow.
be a hell of a fight.
Yeah. Our good friend, Mr. Rodney Green, who's going to be on the air with me on Tuesday, this coming up Tuesday night, he suggested, Gogue, how about analyzing George Foreman versus Tyson Fury for the heavyweight championship?
Ooh.
Now, once again, this is not comeback George Foreman. This is a prime, knocking the tar out of Joe Frazier George Foreman, right?
Yeah.
And let's see, the next ones, Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Roberto Duran at 135 pounds. Jeez.
Oh. Yeah.
Our next one, Manny Pacquiao versus Aaron Pryor at 140 pounds. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Oscar De La Hoya versus Tommy the Hitman Hearns at 147 pounds. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah.
So of those big 5, what would you like to dissect? Now, once again, we're going to test your mettle tonight, Gogue. We're going to see how good on the spot you are. What do you think you want to try and analyze this evening for our listening audience?
Well, Floyd Mayweather, everybody knows him, so and then everybody knows the legend Roberto Duran, okay? Yeah. Floyd Mayweather still got a big name in boxing, okay? Even though he isn't fighting, he's still his name, because of what he's done in the pay-per-view market, the greatest pay-per-view fighter of all time. You know what I mean, Joe? And
indeed.
made close to $1 billion. Then you got the legend Duran. Oh yeah. Oh, but where do you want to start? Let's go by the rules where Duran fought in his era. Okay, same day weigh-ins. Okay. And none of this PED shit like these fighters nowadays take, okay?
No blood doping, no IVs.
Yeah, none of that. Same day weigh-ins. You weigh in at 12 o'clock and you fight at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, the latest, okay? Now you tell me.
You should have to chug a Dos Equis just like Roberto Duran used to do right before a fight.
Yeah. Well, Joe, like I said, Joe, the fighters back then, they fought 15. Let's do 15 rounds too. None of this 12-round crap.
15 rounds.
Like
that's
Hagler
right.
said, Marvin Hagler says, the 13th, 14th, 15th round separates the men from the boys. Okay.
That's
right.
So
you go. Let's put them under those conditions, not this 12 rounds the day before weigh-ins. Let me see. You know what I mean? It's totally different ball game, totally different factors and everything. I like when you do it like that, Joe. Even the 12 round, Durant, the fight would be closer. Same 24-hour weigh-ins to recover and all this PED stuff and all that other stuff, man. The fight will the playing field evens a little bit more. You know what I mean? But Duran in 15-round fight, same day weigh-ins, it wouldn't even be close. Duran was
okay. Well, let's analyze this fight then by Roberto Duran's rules, right?
Yeah. I mean, you got to be fair about it now, Joe. Okay?
Absolutely. So let's do the tail of the tape for one Roberto Duran, right? Manos de Piedra. Originally from Panama City, Panama. He enters the ring weighing 135 pounds, fights out of the orthodox stance, stands 5'7" tall in the center of the ring, and fights behind a 66-inch reach. He ended his career with an amazing record of 103 wins, 16 losses, 70 big wins coming by way of knockout. Holy cow. What can you tell us about the strengths and the weaknesses of Roberto Duran, brother?
He was the most natural, one of the most natural fighters I ever saw, Joe. Just a natural. Instincts, punching power, timing, rhythm. You know, what do you call it? Devastating body puncher, Joe. Underrated defensive skills, Joe, okay? Especially in the pocket, at close quarters. You can never hit him with a clean shot because he would roll with punches. So, you know, he would roll the punches off his chin and just turn with it. You know, he just had advanced skill sets, Joe, that you don't see nowadays, okay? Just a natural, like I said, just a natural fighter, a devastating body puncher, a devastating counter puncher with power, and just you know, like I said, when he's motivated, just a nonstop combination puncher for 15 rounds, Joe. Like when he fought, Leonard, 147 pounds, or when he fought 135 pounds. You know, he was a terror, considered the greatest lightweight pound for pound in the history of boxing, Joe. Like I said, Joe, everything about Duran. He had it all: athleticism, punching power, instincts. What do you call it? Oh yeah, meanness, Joe. He was a mean, nasty dude, that Duran, man. You know what I mean? He was ruthless, okay? And Joe, he wasn't nice, okay? He was in that ring, he was a savage. He wanted to hurt you real bad, okay? And like I said, Joe, even Roger Mayweather, some of them posed that question to the late great trainer Roger Mayweather, Floyd's uncle, and he goes, who would win, Floyd or your nephew at 135? And Roger usually talks a lot of shit, like every time you bring up a fighter against his nephew, oh my nephew will whoop his ass. It would be easy work, every fighter. But once someone, I remember somebody say, well, how about against Roberto Duran? He smiled and shut up. He goes, oh man. He shrugged his shoulders. He goes, I don't know, man. He was quiet. He goes, I don't know, man. And the guy goes, well, you think Duran could fight? He looked at him and he goes, are you fucking crazy asking me that question? Could he fight? Hell yeah, he could fight. Now, how many times have you seen Roger, talk about a fighter,
compliment another fighter?
That's not his son? Against his nephew. You know what I mean?
Never.
Never. He knew. Roger came up in the era of Duran when he was in his prime. He knew what Duran could do. Okay. He knew how bad he was. Let me tell you what Vinny Pazienza told me a long time ago. He told me when he fought Duran, I said, hey, Vinny, what was the first thing you noticed about Duran when you fought him? He goes, when he hit me with his first body shot, I said to myself, oh, shit. I've never been hit like that before. He told me that, yeah. I had a fighter a long time ago. He sparred Duran. I say, how did it go? He goes, man, when he hit me with his jab, oh, my God, I could feel it. He said, in natural heavy hands, man, both hands. And that's what Vinny Pazienza told me, man, when he fought him. And Duran was damn near 38 years old, I think, man. So, like I said, Joe, this Duran, he was just perfect to me. He was a perfect fighting machine, man. I know he had Ray Arcel and, getting all the credit for training them. But, Joe, Duran had probably 11 trainers in his whole career, and and every single one of them he had success, okay? You just get him in shape, and he knew what to do. Ray Arcel said that. Don't tell him what to do. He knows what to do, okay? And I never seen Ray Arcel work hand pads with Duran. You know what I mean? Sparring, hitting that damn heavy bag, you know what I mean? And running, the big three, you know what I mean? And Duran was ready to fight. And like I said, when he fought Leonard, he was possessed that night, man. Just a nonstop punching machine, man. And boy, what a fight that was! And I got to give credit to Leonard for showing a big set of balls, man, hanging in there, battling him for 15 rounds. Okay, so that's what. And 135 pounds, whew, Joe. Once Floyd gets hit by that first right hand or left hook, he's gonna say to himself, "Oh my God, this guy hits nothing like. This guy hits a lot harder than Jose Luis Castillo."
And what you said about him being a nasty guy, right, and just a mean individual, I'll never forget what happened at the end of the fight when Sugar Ray Leonard tried to embrace him after the 15 rounds.
Yeah, he gave him the finger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the interview,
gosh.
You know what he said in the interview, Joe? He goes, the reason I won this fight because I was more of a man than he was.
Oh, wow. So I think we all know, man, where Ricardo Mayorga got it from Nicaragua.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Hey, Duran,
I tell you
Joe,
what, man.
At 135 pounds, the only guy that beat him was De Jesus the first time they fought. The next two times they fought, De Jesus, Duran beat De Jesus. But De Jesus, there's always one fighter, Joe, out there that's always going to give you problems. That's always going to be your nemesis. And De Jesus was his nemesis at 135. Puerto Rico,
Esteban De Jesus.
the
You're absolutely
champion.
right.
Yeah, good boxer, puncher, awkward. And just, totally, totally, affected Duran's timing and rhythm. And Duran never could get comfortable in there when he fought De Jesus. Because De Jesus, he would always tricky, slick counter puncher, good boxer, good movement. You know what I mean? And he always gave Duran, he gave Duran fits.
Indeed. Well, I tell you what, we'll go over his strategy. I'm sorry, what?
Floyd, Floyd was a hell of a
hold on,
fighter
brother.
at 135.
Hold on. I've got to rattle off the tail of the tape for one Floyd Mayweather Jr. From Grand Rapids, Michigan. Pretty boy. Now, once again, we're going by him at 135 pounds. He didn't stay there very long, right? So he's Pretty Boy Floyd at this point, right? Pretty Boy Floyd from Grand Rapids, Michigan. He fought out of the orthodox stance. He stood 5 foot, 8 inches tall in the center of the ring, fought behind a very long 72-inch reach. He ended his career, obviously, with 50 wins, 0 losses, 27 big wins coming by way of knockout. Gogue, what are the strengths and weaknesses of Floyd Mayweather Jr.?
Floyd's just one of the all-time greats. To me, he's the greatest defensive fighter I've ever seen. Reflexes, quick as a cat. Tremendous boxing IQ, tremendous boxing skills, counter-punching, Joe. You know what I mean, Joe? Just toughness, conditioned, everything. He, like I said, Joe, he's an exceptional, once-in-a-generation fighter, okay? And his weaknesses, only weaknesses I've seen him is he has brittle hands and everything, Joe.
Thanks to my very dear friend, El Famoso, Carlos Hernandez. Yeah. Broke his hand on the hard noggin of El Famoso. The only guy to ever get the credit for flooring Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Yeah, that's what they say, yeah.
Yeah, he just took a knee, though, because his hands were broken. He needed that little break. But, I'm sorry, as you were, Gogue.
Yeah, like I said, Floyd. He's just what a great fighter he is, man. He was tremendous. But Duran was on a different level. Now, like I said, Joe, we're going by 15 rounds, same day weigh-ins. Come on, man. You think Floyd would recover in 8 hours? You know what I mean? You think Floyd? You in boxing, you can't say you could do it until you do it. Floyd never went 15 rounds before. Okay, not at a fast, ferocious pace Duran would have fought at. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. If he had trouble with Jose Luis Castillo in that first fight, I just wonder how everything would pan out against Hands of Stone.
Joe, Duran, Joe, is a very smart, intelligent pressure fighter. Okay, he just doesn't walk in like Jesus Chavez, okay, or like Formoso did. Okay, he's very intelligent and methodical in his pressure. Okay, he'll touch you and paw that jab out there just to feel what you're gonna do. Then he'll close that distance and put his combinations together. Good feints, good head movement. When you try to hit him coming in, he's got great reflexes also too, Joe, to make you miss and everything. Okay, so once he gets inside, see Floyd, if you're a predictable pressure fighter, he'll eat you up. But Castillo was a very sophisticated pressure fighter. If you watched him fight, okay, he had a good feel, a good knack on how to attack Floyd. You know what I mean? Without getting taking a lot of incoming close when he got in range and everything. That's what Duran is, man. And also Duran's defensive skills are, like I said, when he's closing the distance, he'll make Floyd miss. And also when he's inside, his defensive skills are flawless. Underrated inside defensive fighter. If you watch tape of Duran, he just had a natural feel to roll with a punch, with his chin, or block punches with his shoulders. Drop down under punches. Oh, he was a master. Then what Duran did good was after he made you miss, he countered to the body. You don't see that now, Joe. You don't see that nowadays, Joe, from fighters. All fighters nowadays are headhunters when they counter to the body. All fighters nowadays are headhunters when they counter you. They don't know how. You rarely see a good fighter out there that knows how to slip and counter to the body like Duran. Duran was a master at countering to the body, slipping and countering the body, and all those body punches that he would hit you off those counters would slowly break you down, Joe. And like I said, we're going by, the rules of when Duran came up. Do you really think Floyd would last a hard 15 rounds under those conditions, making weight that day, and none of this, IVs and and advanced PEDs and all that shit? You know what I mean? I'm not saying he used them, but like I said, it's you know what I mean? Totally different, Joe. Totally different, man. And the fight, like I said, I forgot about Duran's vicious punching power, okay? How about when he hits Floyd? Yeah. I know Floyd's hard to hit, but he's going to get hit by them body punches, and Floyd's tough as nails, but he's going to feel them. And Duran's going to hit his target. He hit Leonard. Leonard was another great athletic fighter, blessed with tremendous reflexes, but he was hitting Leonard at will, countering that jab over the right hand, okay? Hitting them with combinations, digging them body shots, okay? Got inside, a ferocious offensive attack when he got inside. Did a head, body, head, okay? And like I said, Joe, when he hits you, you're going to feel it. You know what I mean? So, Joe, me personally, if Floyd fought in that era, Floyd would have avoided him like the plague.
Well, yeah, that's well, you could say that. I tell you what, also what's a huge factor, right? Kenny Bayless wasn't a referee in the 70s. How would the fight play out? Now, please tell me how the fight would play out with Arthur Mercante Sr. as the referee.
He'd make you fight. None of that holding and tying you up and all that crap and breaking you early. Okay? That's the difference between refs now than back then. Refs back then, they made you they wouldn't let you tie up. First of all, fighters rarely tied up back then, okay? You fought when that fight transformed from distance to in the trenches, you fought. You didn't tie each other, you didn't tie, you didn't accept the clinch like you see these bitches nowadays. They tie you up, and the refs, they look at the ref to break them up, okay? Like last night, you know what I mean? The ref wouldn't even, as soon as they got close to each other, break. I'm like, yeah, dang, let them fight out of the clinch.
Exactly.
Back then, the refs were, fight out of there. Guys like Mills Lane, fight out of there. Robert Byrd.
He'd even smack your hand. If you were trying to tie up, I remember Mills Lane doing this.
You.
He used to smack his hand away. Hey, stop holding, pop, and he'd smack your hand away.
Or pull your hand away.
Or pull it away.
Yeah, because, back then that was a no-no. But these refs nowadays, they accept it. These refs are amateur refs, Joe. Okay, they do that in the amateurs.
Yep.
Real professional refs back then, they'll warn you, no more of this holding shit. They make you fight out of there. And when you got into clinches, guys like Robert Byrd would not break you. He'd make you fight out of there. And fighters back then were, there was an unwritten rule to police yourself, where if you did accidentally get in the clinch, work your way out of it without having the ref to get involved, okay? And like I said, Joe, totally, hey, Joe, all this stuff right here, it's a negative against Floyd. You know what I mean? Kenny Bayless, he made sure when he fought Maidana the first time that every time Maidana got inside and was about to get some momentum, he'd break it
actually, that was the biggest difference. I have to correct you there, Gogue, because the very first fight, And one of the reasons why it was so, it was so action-filled, and one of the reasons why Maidana was draped all over him like a cheap suit was because the very first ref was Tony Weeks. Floyd didn't like it very much, so he replaced him with Kenny Bayless in the second fight.
Yeah, the second fight, excuse me. The second fight, it was so obvious, man. You know, every time excuse me, that's right, you're right. The second fight, where every time, McDonough got in the pocket, Bayless automatically break. He didn't make Floyd fight in the pocket, in the trenches where Maidana wanted to, so he could get that rhythm and that momentum going and everything. Maidana never got a chance to get that momentum going because of in-house referee Kenny Bayless was there to protect him.
Indeed, brother. So what is the end result? Who wins, how, and why?
Oh, shit. Under these rules of the 80s, Duran by knockout.
Wow.
Look, Joe, I can't even imagine 8 hours, Floyd never had a fight in those conditions for a 15-round fight, okay? He never had to go 15 rounds, too, okay? Different ball game, Joe. Look, Joe, let me tell you this, man. I remember I had a guy named Guadalupe De Leon, one of my toughest fighters I ever worked with. We fought Golden Boy's top fighter at the time. It was in Philly back in, I think, 2009. Derek, I can't remember his name. He was a hot shot, undefeated prospect, Golden Boy sign, fast, explosive, athletic, and all that. Well, over there they had back then they had same day weigh-ins for the undercard. So my guy, he weighed in, made weight at 12 o'clock. Then 8 hours later he fought, and he told me, man, James, man, it felt totally different, man, weighing in and fighting the same day. He goes, man, my body felt differently. It's like I didn't have time to recover. And it was a 4-round fight he fought. And the other guy, you can see it affected him, that he weakened. By the 3rd round, he was dead. By the 4th round, he had nothing. And that's what won us the fight. We had a big 4th round, okay? And it was a 6-round fight. They cut it back to 4. A good thing that Greg Serb cut it back to 4, because if it was 6, we would have knocked him out. Because that dude was dead. And we came on hard that 6th round. And you know what I mean? And that's what won us that upset and everything. But he told me, man, it feels totally different, man. Totally different, man. And
that was Golden Boy prospect Derek Wilson back in 2009.
Derek Wilson. Yep. He told me, man, it feels totally different, okay? Now, what do you think, Floyd, man? I mean, he never did it before. You can't say you could do it until you do it. He never done it before. He never had to fight under the circumstances, okay, Joe? Like I said, the fighters back then. Not a 15-round fight. No, the last time he had to fight the same day was back in the amateurs. Yep, 3 rounds. Like I said, Joe, the fighters back then were made from a different breed. You know what I mean? Totally different. Wow. So there you have it, guys. According to James Gogue, going back to Roberto Duran's rules in the 70s and the 80s, 15 rounds. Arthur Mercante Sr. as ref, and same-day weigh-in. Yep. And no PEDs or that shit, okay?
And there you have it. Roberto Duran wins by knockout. What round, Gogue?
The later rounds. Probably 10, 11, 12 when Duran's still coming on, you know what I mean?
Championship round stoppage, and there you have it, guys. Well, I tell you what, Gogue.
Joe, it's not the championship round stoppage. Championship rounds back then were 13, 14 to 15 rounds.
Oh, that's right. My apologies, brother. Yeah. Wow, that is amazing. Gogue, I tell you what, we still have a little time, man. Would you like to try and dissect another one? Or do you feel up to it?
Nah, that was good enough.
You want to save it for next week?
Yeah, 1 a week's good enough. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, we had some great suggestions today, so just think about it for next week. Again,
yeah, they're all good. They were all good suggestions.
Oh, I tell you what, our brother Big Luke, man, he was kind of hoping that you would. Let's see, judging by his comments, he said it's hawk time. He was hoping that you would do Manny Pacquiao versus Aaron Pryor at 140 pounds. So how about treating us
geez.
to that next week?
yeah. I mean, come on, man. Like I said,
setting
Joe,
the record for
era.
the most punches thrown in a 15-round fight.
Joe, like I said, different era, PEDs, same-day wins and all that. Come on, man. You can't compare it. Look, simple as this. You can't compare the fighters nowadays to the fighters in the past because they went through that. Fighters right now, they never had to experience it, okay? All right? And they didn't have PEDs back then to help these guys move up weight divisions to become more explosive, more faster, okay? All right, so, you know.
So
I always favor the old-time fighters over these new guys, these 21st
so would you
century
be
fighters.
analyzing, though? Would you be actually analyzing? Would you be analyzing Aaron Pryor with or without the mix and Panama Lewis?
Yeah. Hey, look, you ain't gonna hurt Pryor. Pryor had a solid chin, okay, iron, okay, and Pacquiao, you know, at 140, like I said, Joe, if you want to go under the rules back then, you gotta favor Pryor. Because it's different, Joe.
Oof.
That 24-hour or 36-hour recovery, you know, it makes a huge difference.
Well, I tell you what, just to give people a preview, Gogue, why don't you actually talk about, again, the strengths and weaknesses of Aaron the Hawk Pryor from Cincinnati, Ohio?
Non-stop punching machine with heavy hands, solid chin, aggressive, ferocious, okay? A good boxer, too, Joe, when he has to. Uses good angles, too, when he gets close to you, you know. He steps over real good and hits you with nice combinations, you know what I mean? Beautiful. Joe, he was a hell of a fighter, man. Not too many guys wanted to fight him. Sugar Ray Leonard, you didn't hear him calling him out back in the days.
No, but you heard Aaron Pryor calling him out. Guys, let me just give you a brief tell the tape, right, and how special Aaron Pryor was. The Hawk from Cincinnati, Ohio. He fought at 140 pounds, fought out of the orthodox stance, stood 5'6" tall in the center of the ring, fought behind a 69-inch reach, ended his career, Gogue, with 39 wins, 1 loss, and 35 big wins coming by way of knockout.
Yeah.
This is, again, and one of the reasons why I think it was chosen, right, Manny Pacquiao versus, because they're both, from what I've been told from fighters and trainers, both guys were virtually impossible to prepare for. How do you get sparring that's going to prepare you for both Manny Pacquiao in his prime at 140 pounds and Aaron Pryor at 140 pounds in his prime?
Yeah. You don't.
Seriously, how do you prepare for both those guys?
You're gonna be dealing with guys with a high volume punch attack that can hit, and Pacquiao with his great footwork, his hand speed and his power behind it. You know what I mean? He'll give anybody problems. But the Hawk with his what do you call it? Solid chin, nonstop pressure, same day weigh-ins, 15 rounds. I think it might be a little bit too tough for Pac-Man.
Oof.
Down the stretch.
Oh, it'd be Hagler Hearns at 140, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.